So this video is going to be about creating your first campaign for the audience that you've already created. To start your first campaign, you can go through the create button there, but we're going to keep it simple and go through campaigns from your main menu. Okay. If you have any campaigns that you've already set up, these will be created. These will be set up here, and you can duplicate one you've already set up. Or if you're not ready to do a campaign but you want to get something like a template set up for future use, then you can work in the templates area. But we're going to set up a campaign by clicking on Create Campaign. It then gives you an option of the different types of item to set up, but we're going to focus on emails here. So there's a few different options here. Your regular is just a regular email that you want to send out to your mailing list. Automated is quite a useful one. Automated is where you have options to automate emails on certain actions. For example, if you set up tags on your contacts, then you can set a target message to certain tags. So say you set up a tag for, I don't know, monthly contact, then you could use that tag here. Again, it's the same, it's in featured there, so it's in there. Subscriber activity, so welcome new subscribers, so you can set up an email that automatically goes out to people once they subscribe to your list. There may be one like a day or so afterwards just to remind them that you're there. Respond to subscriber updates, so if they do an update to their profile or anything like that, then you can automate an email to go out there. And thank pop-up form subscribers, that's if they're using the MailChimp pop-up form, which we didn't cover, but it's there if you want to go down that route. E-commerce, so these are quite useful. So these are automated emails linked to your website. Now, in order to use any of these services, you need to first to have connected MailChimp to your e-commerce website. Okay, and we'll cover that off afterwards. But there's some great options here: thanking first-time customers, reward your best customers, abandon cart. A lot of these rely on, obviously, because they're linked to your mailing list. So the people who are using your shopping cart need to have logged in, so that there's a link between the MailChimp account and the shopping cart. This doesn't actually send things out to customers who haven't logged in, because it doesn't have any details for them. So it has to be people who are subscribed to your list. But it is still quite a useful tool to use. Date-based, really useful. So you can set emails to go out on certain dates or after an audience activity. So for example, if we look at the audience added date, okay, so we can trigger a series of emails based on when they were added. So for example, one day after your subscriber joins your audience. We can amend that, so we can make that 7 days after. You can set that to before as well, but I'm not sure how you can send an email before someone subscribes. But we'll leave that as a default, but you can change those. And then from here you can design your email specific to that target. So one day after someone subscribes, this email will go out to them. You can schedule this to be set to go once a week or every day at 9 AM, so it looks back to the previous days to see who fits that criteria. If you want to filter by a segment or a tag, you can do that here as well. And then post send action. So this is where you can undertake an action based on sending that email. So if you want to update a tag, say there's a tag for new members, or you could actually remove that tag once. We haven't got any tags here, that's why it won't do it. But you could remove that tag automatically once that email has been sent, or you can get them to join or leave an interest group, whatever you want to do, or even unsubscribe from the list. So if you were sending them an email to say, we're unsubscribing you from your list, you could do that automatically. But we're not going to do anything like that here. Then you can have another trigger, say 2 days after, 3 days after, and you can add other emails in there. So if you want to set something up on a weekly basis for the next 4 or 5 weeks for new subscribers, then you can do a series of emails there, which is quite a useful tool to have. So we'll just go back. So just going back to the date-based ones, so if you could do something on a specific date, so say you have a field on there, it doesn't have to be, I mean you could say birthday, it could be any date field that's on there, it could be joining date, anniversary date, so every year on the date that they've joined your list, for example, you could send something out. Recurring dates, same principles, so it's renewing membership is a great one, so if someone's joining your the membership of your website or your business, you can set something up for them to renew their membership every year, which is a quite useful one. API is where it's linked into a website. So we talked about connecting websites before. API is the method that you would link a website to your MailChimp. Getting quite technical, I'm not going to go into that one here. I would recommend that if you're going down that route, that you may want to get some help, unless you're quite tech savvy. Okay, plain text emails, it's just really just basic emails without all the fancy images or hyperlinks and things like that. Some people prefer that. It gets through a lot of spam filters. So if you are having problems with spam filters, you may want to try plain text and see how that goes. A and B test is quite useful. It's a way of sending out different versions of the same email with maybe different formats, so you can see what works and what doesn't. So for example, it says there what day of the week gets better open rates, should you use GIF or a static image. So you can have different versions, up to 3 versions of a single email, which is going out to your client, so you can compare to see what works. So if you're fairly new to this, it might be worthwhile having a play with that to see what works for you and your customer base. So for the purpose of this, we're just going to create a regular email. We're just going to call this test email. I'm going to put a date on there so I know when I've done it. But remember, if you do send this out, your customer will see the campaign name. So be careful what you call it. Okay, so it takes you through to this page here. Now at the top here you can see you've got a finish later option, which is useful. So if you start something but haven't got time to finish it, just click on finish later and it will save it as a draft, and you can go back in and you can change it. Clicking on the add recipients option, so I've only got the one list, but if you have multiple lists set up, multiple audiences you set up, you can choose which one you're going to send to. From here, this is where we set up the group before, and we talked about segment tags. So if we want to do that, so I can use my group that I set up here. So I've got, if you look on that list, you've got interests, and I can say is one of, and I can choose multiple options there. So that's going out, and I can do another one. So I've said any of these, but I could change that to all of these criteria. And then, okay, and if I wanted to use one of the other criteria, I could do that as well. Okay, but I'm not going to do that for now. I mentioned segments, so up here again, we've got the segment we created back on our list. So we've already defined this, and we said send it out to everyone who's got a first name of Peter. So I can change that. I can't have groups and segments. I have to have one or the other. So I'm going to use my segment of first name Peter for this one. Now if I want to personalize this, I can use this, and this is where the merge tag information comes in useful. So if I want to have it at the top using their first name, I can have that. Or if I want to use first name and last name, it's that. The only thing I would say on that is just be careful about the quality of your data, because if you have duff information in your audience information, this is what's going to display on here. You know, so if someone's put on there Donald Duck, it's going to go to Donald Duck, for example. But if you're happy with the quality of your data, then use that. Otherwise, I would take that off. So I'm just going to put that on and save that. Okay, the from information is defaulting to my email address because that's the only one set up. But if you have multiple users set up here, you can change that and put a different email address in there to where it's coming from. But they will want it to come from an email address connected to the account. Subject, like any email address, any email, we just set that up. Okay, and the preview text is just what is in there. Okay, and this is where we get to choose the format of our email. So there's a lot of templates. I mean, you've got the ones you can set up yourself, obviously, but these are the ones which are set up as well. And you can choose from various options. And it gives you some ideas as to what you might want to use them for. If you don't want all the images and that put in, you can use these, which just gives you a structure for your website. So if you want simple text, just straightforward text, but it is quite useful to have a format, especially if you're using a newsletter and you want it to be defined with columns and things like that. So I'm just going to go with this one column full width, just for the purpose of this. Once I've clicked on it, it will open up the template. Okay, so from here you can see on the right hand side you've got different options that you can drag into your email if you want to: text, box text, dividers, images, and so on. You can click up here if you want to add a logo. So I'm just going to replace that one and use the logo that I uploaded earlier on. Okay, it comes up quite big. You can edit that or replace it with a smaller version. Okay, so that logo is a little bit big, so I'm just going to click on it, go into edit, and I'm just going to change that size. Down here you can see the dimensions, so I'm just going to change that to say 200, and it will automatically save the height. Click on save, and you can see there the logo has gone small. Okay, so you can play with that for any sort of way you want. And we can click on the next section, and we can see on the right hand side we have the text, and we can just change the text. This is my content. If I want to put an image in there, again I can just click on the little icon up here and I can put an image on there. I should just use that again. Pretty boring, but for the purpose of this it's defaulted to 200 this time, and again I can put the link into anywhere I want, but I'm going to do my website. I'll click on open a new window, so that is going to a new tab, and then I'll just say anything we do on this side we have to click on save there, and then the bottom bit here, and then if I want to add a new section, to say I wanted to add a group of images, I can just drag that into there, and I can add images if I want to in the same way as before. I'll get rid of that because I'm not going to do that. Delete that one. Social media follows, image access, so I can build up my picture of my newsletter any way I want. There's also the design area here, so if I want to change look and feel, colours, this can all be done in here. Adding comments, getting feedback on the campaign, so you can send a test email to your collaborators, so you can get a feel for whether these campaigns work for you or not. I don't tend to use that a lot, but if you want to have a play with it, that's fine. Okay, when you're finished with your email, you can just click on save and close, and it will tell you if there's any problems on there. So it's telling me here, so it says we'll add the required monkey rewards, so I've got no choice in the monkey rewards, it wants me to do it, so it's done it. But it says here to send your email, remove or replace the placeholder text. It's time to design your email. So obviously I've left in some of the standard text which it doesn't like. That's quite a useful test because it does tell you if you've got anything wrong in there. So I've left the title in there, which it doesn't like. So I'm just going to change that to this is my title. Save that, and it should be happy. You can also add videos, by the way, which is quite useful. Okay, so this time it's all green, so I am ready to send. So before I would send it though, I would send a test email. So click on that, and you can send one to yourself just to see what it looks like. Send test email. And that's gone. Let's click on OK, and then I'll check my email box and see if that's arrived. Okay, so this is the test email that I've received. Obviously the quality of the logo is not very good, so that's something I would change. You can see what's going to appear in the footer, and you can test that your links work to your sites. That's actually going to, because I haven't put any of my own links in there, it's taken you to the default for the various social media platforms. But the rest of the information seems to be okay. Add to your address book is quite useful. You'll notice you have the unsubscribe option down there, which is a GDPR requirement, and all the information that we've set up in the account. So it looks like we're ready to go. So going back to the campaign screen, up here we can either send it now. If you send it now, it does give you an option to opt out if you've made a mistake, so you can cancel that, or you can schedule it, so you can set it to go at a certain date or time. So we'll get rid of that, and that's it. But if you want to finish it later, or not ready to do it yet, you can finish that one later. And that is setting up your first campaign.